Shalom. We read this week in Parshat Shlach about Cheit HaMeraglim. And there are a lot of different opinions what was the sin of the Meraglim. But David HaMelech in Tehillim, Perif Kuv Vav, Pasuk Chav Daled, tells us that the sin was Vayim Asu Be'eretz Chimda. They were disgusted with the beloved land. And the question is, why is this such a big sin? As the Meshech Chochmah points out, that Hashem forgave us for worshiping the golden calf, but did not forgive us for Cheit HaMeraglim, and that entire generation was punished. And the reason why this is such a severe sin is because we see that this mistake repeats itself every single time that Am Yisrael is meant to enter the land of Israel. We again get cold feet and say, no, we don't want to make Aliyah. Sounds familiar to this very day. When Am Yisrael was supposed to leave Egypt, Chazal say that 80%, 4 out of 5 of the Jews did not want to go on Aliyah. And Hashem had to punish them during the Makat Choshech, in darkness. And I would think that those who survived that 20%, they would learn their lesson. But again, they also sinned in Cheit HaMeraglim, that did not want to enter the land of Israel. Now, even their children, I would think that they would learn from the previous generations. And Rashi brings down in Devarim, Perek Lamed Aleph, Pasuk Zayin, that Hashem tells Yehoshua that you are going to have to force the Jewish people into the land of Israel. Tol Makel, take a staff and beat them over the heads, otherwise they're not going to make Aliyah. Now, the same thing happens with Ezra and Nehemiah to build the second Beit HaMikdash. And only 42,000 Jews came on Aliyah. Most of them did not come on Aliyah. As the Gemara in Masechet Yoma Daf Tet Amud Bet says that this is one of the 2 reasons given why the second Beit HaMikdash was destroyed, because the Jews didn't want to make Aliyah. Now, if this sin repeats itself every time we're supposed to come into the land of Israel, I would have hoped that at least in Yemot HaMashiach, in the final return to the land of Israel, Kibbutz Galiot, the Jews will want to come voluntarily and happily. On the other hand, we see that statistically, most of the 7 million Jews who have come on Aliyah and live today in the land of Israel, they or their parents were basically forced out of exile. Aside from us, Anglos, who are coming out of a religious and Zionist motivation, most of them are unfortunately fulfilling what Chazal also tell us. Rashi brings down in Devarim Perek Lamed, Pasuk Gimel, that Hashem is going on, even during Kibbutz Galiot, he's going to have to take each and every Jew by their hair, I used to have hair, by their hair and drag them to the land of Israel, because they also won't want to make Aliyah. And the question is, what is so bad about the land of Israel? All right, it's Eretz Asher Lo Techsar Kol Ba. It's a land which is not missing anything. It's a land of milk and honey. It's a land of Eretz Chita Sorah V'Gefen Teina V'Rimon. It has everything. So why is it that whenever Aliyah comes on the agenda, people don't want to make Aliyah, the majority? And I think the answer can be found Damke in understanding what was the sin of the Meraglim. We see 6 conflicting midrashim, which are very interesting. One midrash in Bamidbar Rabbah says that the Meraglim were tzaddikim, they were righteous, people of the caliber of Yehoshua and Kalev. On the other hand, another midrash says that they were rishaim, that even before they left, they already decided that they wanted to sin. One contradiction. There's another contradiction where the Maharal brings down, based on Kabbalistic sources, that the sin of the Meraglim was that they were so righteous that they were worried that spiritually they will fall when they come into the land of Israel. They enjoyed the kollel of the desert, where they don't have to work for a living, they don't have to serve in the army. Hashem gives them man and slav and the bear mayim, and they have the pillar of fire and the pillar of cloud, and they were scared that their spirituality will fall if they make aliyah. On the other hand, the Zohar tells us the exact opposite, that they were scared that the land of Israel is too spiritual for them, and that they won't be able to withstand the test of spirituality in the land of Israel. A third contradiction, one Midrash says that the 10 spies, they brought the fruit to show the people of Israel about the land of Israel. So the 10 spies brought the fruit. Another contradicting Midrash said that just the 2 spies, just Yoshua and Caleb, brought the fruit, and the others refused to bring the fruit. What's going on here? Why so many contradictions? But what I think is that really there are 2 mahalachim, 2 possibilities, which unfortunately we see throughout history. One mahalach, one process, is that says that the Meraglim, they were tzaddikim, they were righteous. And according to this, their problem with the land of Israel was that it was too physical, and they liked the spirituality of the desert. And according to this, it was the 10 spies who brought the fruit to show the people, look, this is a monstrosity, physical land, and our spirituality is going to fall. On the other hand, the other process says that the Midrashim were evil. And their problem with the land of Israel is that it is too spiritual, not too physical. And according to this, it was Yoshua and Caleb who brought the fruit to show the people, no, it's not just spiritual, it's also physically great. In other words, if you don't understand that in Eretz Yisrael, the physical and the spiritual don't contradict, but they harmonize, then you're going to have a problem with Eretz Yisrael. So some people have a problem with Eretz Yisrael because they say, oh, it's for the Zionists, and we're religious. Others say, well, we're not religious, and the Holy Land is for the religious. And no matter who you are, Eretz Yisrael falls in between the chairs if you don't understand the key of harmony, of unity, that there is one God who created the physical and the spiritual, and that they don't contradict. And that Hashem doesn't make mistakes when he created the physical land of Israel, because it's also spiritual. And to this day, it turns out that the problem that people have with Eretz Yisrael, whether you're on this side or on this side, the problem that people have is really the key to understanding the beauty of Eretz Yisrael. Because the key of understanding Eretz Yisrael is that they unite, that the physical and the spiritual work together, that it's a holy land. And as Rav Kook writes regarding the land of milk and honey, the Gemara Masechet Chulin says that there are 2 liquids that you would have thought are not kosher: milk, which comes from blood, and honey, which comes from non-kosher bees. Comes the Torah and tells us, no, milk and honey are both kosher. So too, explains Rav Kook, the land of Israel, you might have thought that this physical land where we have to serve in the army and we have to work the land, and we can't just learn in the kollel all day. We might think that this land might bring us down spiritually, and that it's tameh, and that it's not kosher. Comes the Torah and tells us the land of milk and honey is that even though you might have thought it's not kosher, it davka is kosher. And Baruch Hashem, in our shiurim, we have learned that religious Zionism is about harmonizing the 2 aspects of the world. This is the secret of Eretz Yisrael, and I pray and I bless you all that you should all be part of the selected few who come on Aliyah out of idealism, out of the mitzvah, because it's part of the redemption, because of nationalism, because we want to live with Am Yisrael. We want to revive the holy heroes of the Tanakh, who were all religious Zionists. And that is the secret of Tikkun Cheit HaMeraglim, fixing the Cheit HaMeraglim. Just like in Leil Shavuot, we stay up all night to fix the sin in the time of Matan Torah where the Jews didn't wake up in the morning. Our generation is to fix the Cheit HaMeraglim by, yes, coming on Aliyah. Uvav Tzion Berina.